Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into one of the most dynamic, critical, and frankly, the most human elements of the entire marketing mix, personal selling. You know, in a world that is just completely saturated with digital ads and automated emails, having a real, actual person guide you through a purchase is incredibly powerful. It's a real game changer. So let's dive into this and unpack the mechanics of exactly how it all works. And just to make sure we're building our knowledge on a really solid foundation today, this explainer draws directly from foundational academic marketing texts. We're taking a rigorous, structured approach to understanding how things are successfully sold to us every single day. Because honestly, this isn't just about being a smooth talker. It's practically a science that's deeply rooted in consumer behavior.
So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at what is personal selling, the types of selling situations, weighing pros and cons, setting clear sales objectives, and finally, the personal selling process.
All right, let's get into Section 1. What is personal selling?
The legendary marketing authority Philip Kotler basically nailed the definition for this. He says, personal selling is a face-to-face interaction with one or more prospective purchasers for the purpose of making presentations, answering questions, and procuring orders. The key word to focus on there is interaction, right? Unlike a static billboard, this is a living, breathing conversation where a salesperson is actively matching a product's benefits directly to your specific needs. And that beautifully illustrates the exact difference between everyday mass advertising and personal selling. Advertising is just a one-way broadcast. Think about a TV commercial. It goes out to millions of people, but most of them have absolutely zero interest in buying a new car today. It's casting a really broad net. Personal selling, on the other hand, is a two-way street. It is personalized and laser-focused only on highly qualified prospects, which means you aren't wasting your time talking to people who don't even need what you're offering. Because it is a two-way conversation, the salesperson acts as this vital human connection between a company and the customer. They can read body language, they can adjust their tone of voice, and they literally customize their pitch on the fly. If a customer starts looking confused, boom, the salesperson can immediately pivot and clarify. That kind of real-time, adaptable engagement just simply cannot be replicated by a generic ad.
Moving right along to Section 2, Types of Selling Situations.
Now, selling approaches completely change depending on the environment you're in. Selling a massive multi-million-dollar software system to a corporation is a totally different ballgame from selling a vacuum cleaner to a homeowner. In a business-to-business, or B2B market, salespeople are dealing heavily with rational buying criteria, things like efficiency, return on investment, operational costs. But in business-to-consumer, or B2C, decisions are often driven way more by emotional criteria. The strategy also shifts wildly depending on whether you're out there trying to acquire brand new prospects versus just maintaining existing customers who already know and trust your brand.
And because those environments vary so much, the roles that salespeople actually take on are incredibly diverse. They are definitely not just order takers. You've got direct, door-to-door selling. You have trade selling, where reps work exclusively with retailers and wholesalers. Then there's missionary selling, where the goal isn't even to close a direct sale right then, but just to educate influencers. And of course, technical selling, where reps act as expert advisors for super complex items. At the end of the day, they're problem solvers first and foremost.
That brings us to Section 3, Weighing Pros and Cons.
So the big question is, why do companies actually choose to use personal selling, and what are the trade-offs? Well, on the advantage side, it gives you an incredibly sharp target focus and instant feedback, which ultimately leads to a very measurable return on investment. You know exactly how many calls resulted in a closed sale. But here's the catch. It comes at a premium. The costs for hiring, training, paying commissions, and covering travel are super high. There's also a big risk of staff turnover because it's a high-stress job, and the reality that different salespeople might end up delivering slightly inconsistent messaging to the market.
Next up, Section 4, Setting Clear Sales Objectives.
Now, if a company is going to shell out top dollar to deploy a sales force, they usually split their goals into two distinct buckets. First, you have quantitative objectives. These are your immediate, short-term, numbers-driven goals. Hitting a specific sales volume, securing a certain chunk of market share, and keeping those travel expenses within limits. But equally important are the qualitative objectives. These are the long-term goals. Things like building solid relationships, educating buyers, and gathering on-the-ground market research. Those qualitative efforts, they are the roots that actually secure future revenue way after the initial sale is closed.
And finally, Section 5, the personal selling process.
All right, let's dive into the how. This is where we map all that academic theory directly into a sequential, actionable reality.
It all starts with step 1, prospecting, finding the right potential customers. Then comes step 2, preparation and approach, where the salesperson gathers data and actually makes that crucial first contact. Step 3 is the presentation, where they match the product's value directly to the buyer's needs. Now, almost always the customer will have some concerns, which leads naturally into step 4, handling objections. Successfully overcoming those paves the way to step 5, closing the sale. But, spoiler alert, it doesn't end there. Step 6, the follow-up, is absolutely vital. It ensures customer satisfaction and sets the stage for future business down the line.
So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question. I want you to think about your last major purchase. Maybe it was a car, a new computer, or an expensive service. Did a salesperson skillfully, maybe even secretly, guide your choice using this exact step-by-step process we just walked through? Honestly, chances are high that they did. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope this structured look at the mechanics of personal selling has empowered you to recognize these techniques out there in the real world. Keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.